Chris Baker with Baker DMM, and this is our video coaching newsletter. Topic of today's newsletter is going to be $30 trillion transfer. And before I jump into our discussion, I want to read you some statistics. And they state that this year, the oldest members of the baby boom generation crossed a crucial threshold. They turned 70 and a half years old. Why does that matter? U.S. law currently requires anyone 70 and a half or older to begin annual withdrawals from their tax-sheltered retirement accounts and pay taxes on those distributions. It's the unofficial kickoff of what economists have been calling the Great Wealth Transfer, and it will unfold over the next 30 years with younger members of Generation X and, crucially, the millennial generation inheriting roughly $30 trillion in assets from their aging parents and grandparents. This massive migration of assets will have a dramatic impact in virtually every industry. And it's just really, it's unbelievable. It's hard to even imagine that much money over the next 30 years being transferred to individuals, through various means like inheritance. And this article really focuses on, which by the way, the article is from CFO.com, and the article focuses on more on the industries and how it will affect their planning in the years to come. And they did touch on a couple of areas for the individual. And one key area they talk about are weighing the tax implications of all this, various wealth transfers. And then they also go into consumer spending and how this massive transfer of wealth will affect particularly the people inheriting the money, their ability to spend and how they'll spend and where they'll spend the money. And really, kind of leaving it as a question mark on how these different industries, such as selling homes and loan originators and mortgage products, and how this wealth transfer will affect these industries. And, when I was reading it, of course, with what we do regarding specifically personal finance, it really made me think of two different key areas. Not only number one for people that are aging, but also for the younger people. And there's a value for each market, but it really boils down to tracking and monitoring and understanding what is going in and out of your financial accounts. And for the aging population, it's going to be about protecting their money and make sure that they're getting their retirement income, and then they know where their expenses are going and they know where their money is being spent, and to make sure that no one's taking advantage of them or stealing their money. So people that are in their 70s, their 80s, their 90s, as we mentioned in videos before this, if they're suffering from a cognitive or physical impairment, what have they done to protect themselves? Do they have a power of attorney in place? Do they have their advanced health directive in place? Do they have a will in place? And really, the power of attorney is important because that's going to make sure that if they're cognitively unable or even physically unable to manage their money, to monitor their finances, they're going to have a person in place to do that for them. And that's going to be a protective mechanism to make sure that no one's stealing their money or taking advantage of them. And that way, their legacy, their estate can be distributed according to the way that they want it. And they won't be diluted of potentially, portions of their estate or maybe even in some cases all of their estate. So it really boils down to making sure they have the protection of either, really close, trusted family or friends or financial service companies like a Baker DMM that can come in and provide that assurance that they're going to be able to have their money do what they want it to do. The other side of this are the younger people that are going to be inheriting the money. Now, we tend to focus mainly on seniors, but in this, there's also the young people that can benefit from financial monitoring. And if you're a younger person, and if you're one of those people that might be inheriting some money from a grandparent or a parent, what are you doing to keep an eye and track all of your different accounts? Are you reviewing a financial statement every month? Are you using an online tool? Are you using Excel? How are you keeping up with your day-to-day finances, and how are you preparing for this potential wealth transfer down the road? Maybe it's a year or a few years or 5 years, or maybe it's many years down the road, but what are you doing to educate yourself to become financially literate and to take the steps now to make sure that when that does happen, you have a system in place to where we're gonna receive this money, and then you can start understanding what's coming in, what's going out, and make sure that you're not losing money. Make sure you're having your money work for you, and you know where it's going and what it's doing for you. And so really, this huge wealth transfer, all these people, from aging to younger, there's a huge opportunity to start preparing now so that both segments can be ready and prepared, not only for that distribution, but for on the receiving end as well. So hopefully, the issue here is that we have a massive wealth transfer coming in the next 10, 20, 30 years. And the solution to that, really for both parties and everybody in between, is that you need to be prepared. You need to have a system in place to monitor your finances, to understand what's coming in and what's going out, really to protect yourselves and to make sure that you don't really lose any money in the process. So if you found this information interesting or helpful, please feel free to share it on your social media channels. This could be your family, your friends, neighbors, or really whoever you think might benefit from viewing the information. If you ever have a question you'd like for me to answer directly, you can go to our website, www.bakerdmm.com, scroll at the bottom, fill out the video coaching newsletter form, and try to answer that question in one of our upcoming newsletters. And if you'd ever like to get my help directly, you can go to our website, you can scroll to the top, and you'll find our phone number as well as a request an appointment button next to the phone number. Or you can scroll to the very bottom and book a direct immediate appointment through the PayPal button. And with any of these options, I'll be in touch with you in 24 to 48 hours. And until then, we will talk soon.